Hello everybody, my name is Kelsey Taylor. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you are all having an amazing day. Today we are going to talk about book talk hot topics. So the first one is people still call themselves a reader, even listening to audiobooks. So I have an opinion about audiobooks. I think audiobooks are great. You are hearing the book, but it's not considered reading the book. So when people say I read, let's say The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and I was like, "Oh, how many pages?" And they said they listened to it. I don't know. I just get a bad take when people say they listened to a book instead of reading it. I'm a bit against listening to books. I mean, it can help on productivity, but I think the whole magic of reading a book in the first place is physically reading it and holding it between your hands and dog-earing it and underlining it and highlighting it. I think there's just so much more of a better reader's experience, and you get more engaged into the story, I feel like, when you listen to it. And a lot of the times when I listened to a book on Audible, I actually ended up hating the book. I don't know why, but I seem to love books a lot more when I'm reading it physically. So maybe that's obviously just my opinion. Everybody has their own thing. The most popular opinion is like people think that's okay to listen to books. You can do what you want, but for me personally, I think that's kind of cheating because, like, a book is a book for a reason. And if you want to listen to somebody talking, then just go to a live book event. All right, the next one is Book Talk gives bad book recommendations. So I can't really say too much on this specifically because I actually don't go on Book Talk. I actually don't go on TikTok. I have the app deleted out of my phone since last August because I watched a really bad video on there and I was just traumatized ever since. So I don't like Book Talk and TikTok in general. I just don't like to engage in it. Um, but I have heard a lot of people discover new book authors, and there's been a massive hit on Book Talk with the community because every time I went to, let's say, a Barnes and Noble, and now even a Waterstones, there's like a whole curated section that says Hot Book Talks or Book Talk made me buy this type of thing going on. So it's like very, very popular. But I don't really like the selection that they're choosing for book talk because there's obviously so many so much more better writers out there, and they put like the very specific writers for, let's say, the 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 for the audience really, and something that's like hot, on trend, I should say, something that's on trend that they put on book talk recommendations. But I've heard a lot of people say they found a lot of great new books that they love on book talk. I don't care if a book is poorly written as long as it's entertaining. That's so funny. I have to agree on this. I really don't mind if a book isn't written very good, just as long as it's entertaining. Like, if it's like, cause I read some books, I don't know, there was this, not that it was bad writing, but there's like a new thing in books. Sally Rooney's done it, and Kate Patrick has done it in her writing as well, where it's like they don't write the parentheses or they don't write those little things when somebody's speaking. And to me, I get really confused at that because I'm like, it forces you to focus more on the book, when somebody is like, you don't know when somebody's talking and when she said, because it doesn't say she said, he said, it just continues. So that part is a bit difficult, but I really don't care if the book is poorly written, but it's great, it's wonderful. Um, Especially poetry books, like they tend to leave out a lot of commas, dashes, periods, like those little things. But it's art, it's poetry. All reading positions are uncomfortable. I can't believe somebody actually admitted this because I feel like nobody talks about this. But yes, there's a lot of uncomfortable positions like mm, mm, like I don't know how many positions I do per 10 minutes that I'm reading. Um I enjoy reading on buses, on transport in London, on the underground and on the buses. I like reading in bed sometimes. If I'm reading on a bench, for some reason when I'm reading on a bench, I can't focus, I can't do it. Um, but yeah, I think there's definitely uncomfortable positions when reading, so maybe someday we'll invent something where it can actually be a comfortable experience. That's where I feel like people, as back to the other questions, as people like audiobooks because you don't have to live through that uncomfortable experience and like holding the big massive book. That's another reason why I like paperbacks because they're lighter to hold and hardbacks like this book that I recently bought. I'm obviously not going to read it. It's just for decor, but it's so heavy. So I can't imagine like just reading that. All right, next one is are better than paperbacks. That's funny because I was actually just talking about paperbacks. Paperbacks are definitely better than hardbacks. Hardbacks are just way too heavy, especially if you want to carry them with you anywhere. I like to use my tote bag. I carry my tote bag with me every time I go to town, and I tried to put in a hardback on it, and it was just way too heavy, and it's strenuous. So paperbacks all the way. The only thing good about hardbacks is if you're just collecting them, I would say they're more beautiful for decor on your shelf, but they're also making really, really good paperbacks now. So it's kind of hard, to debate which one's best. But booktok and bookstagram can ruin the joy of reading. I highly agree with this because I feel like bookstagram specifically can make the reading experience look very picturesque and very curated and very aesthetic and very like if you're not living that aesthetic moment in reading, then it's like not the experience. I feel like BookTok and Bookstagram could definitely put on a show, um, as like you should read this way and make the reading experience super pretty. I mean, I'm all for candles and lighting candles as an experience, but I feel like on Instagram especially, there's these accounts of like these girls who have the most perfect pictures of their books stacked up in their bed. They have like very specific decorations and stuff, and they make it look so magical, which is beautiful pictures. Nothing wrong with that, but it kind of creates this high expectation that if your reading experience isn't as beautiful, you know, then there's a problem. So I kind of feel like there is a lot of toxic views you can get from Instagram, really in any way, but like book talk specifically, yeah, it could definitely ruin your reading experience. Rainbow shelves are awful. Mm, I think rainbow shelves are okay. I made a rainbow shelf once. It's quite scattered. It's like not like anything's put in place, so it is kind of messy. But I mean, rainbow shelves just for how pretty they look, it's okay. Female authors are bashed more and criticized more than similar problematic male authors, like Colleen Hoover. Ebooks are easier to read and more convenient than traditional books. Yeah, this goes into the other opinion of audiobooks. Ebooks are okay. I've seen people do it, but I still think it's cheating because it's not a book. It's an iPad or a pad or whatever you call it, electronic square thingy. Is is not. I don't know. Oh, I read a book. Okay, but did you actually read it on a physical paper? If not, that's not considered reading. I hate people breaking the book spines. I think annotations take you out of the story. Hey everybody, I'm back. I was having a bit of a coughing session, so I just turned on the fan in the background for some air. But anyways, here we go. Let's go back to the opinions. I hate people breaking the book spines, and I already showed you how to break a spine. And I don't care if the spine is broken. I know some people are like, don't damage your books. But I think that's like the whole fun of it. Like, why do you have a book if you want to keep it the same way that when you bought it? I mean, it does look pretty pristine and put together, but I think it's kind of fun to get your books messy, to annotate them, to rip them, to beat them, to throw them across the room, and just to have a relationship with them and to really devour your books. I don't think there's anything wrong in that. So I'm one of those people who are just going to be um accepting the spine breaking tradition. I think annotations take you out of the story and it's wasteful because it's a trend, not a pure joy to do it. I have to agree with this one because in a way. So like I do annotate my books, not all of them obviously, but there's some over there. There's a few on this side on the bottom, but I do annotate my books. But I do have to say, if I'm reading something like high fantasy and if I'm reading something like more on that side of the genre, then it does take me out of the story. The only reason why I like to annotate is because I feel like it engages me more in the story. With other people, it takes them out of the story, but for me, it takes me more into it. So I really, really enjoy annotating, and I like buying the little tabs off of Amazon. And I used to do color coding where I used to tab like each specific thing, like what they meant. But that took way too much time and definitely was taking the joy out of reading. So now I just tab whatever favorite quotes that jump out to me and I just want to remember because who knows, I might not read that same book again, you know? So I want to the first read of a book is the most special, so I always wanna make the most out of it, like, the first time you read, like, let's say a classic, like, The Secret History, like, the first time you read it and annotate it, it's gonna be special. So it's also for memory's sake as well. Book shopping was way more fun when it wasn't so popular on the internet. I have to say that I don't really know much about this since my journey of reading has been only like a year and a half years old. No, I think almost 2 years. So almost 2 years old. So I didn't read like back in the day when there wasn't a book talk. I came on board when there was like a book talk. So I hate when people read 150 books a year and I read 30 books, and that makes me feel so behind. Yes, I put such an unrealistic goal on myself this year to read 150 books or 160 books. And I'm only at 28, 29 books so far. And thank you so much for watching today's video. I love you all so much. À bientôt. Au revoir.